¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's MarkedUp25. I just wanted to talk to you about loyalty. Dom2K made a video some time ago about, like, loyalty, should players remain loyal? And I feel that the answer is there's no loyalty anymore, whether it be from the organization or the players. Without both sides, working towards a common goal, then there's no point. That's why this whole Anthony Davis thing is occurring. That's why Kristaps got traded. Because the player, was not happy with the way the organization was going, and he got traded. He wanted out. He got his wish. But the thing is Kristaps worth a contract, especially considering he went through a major injury? Will DeMarcus Cousins be worth a major contract? I mean, he's doing well right now, but let's see how they do in the playoffs with him. If they fall short of the championship, will he be worth that contract? You see what I mean? Like, these players want so much money, but sometimes they don't do enough to prove they deserve it. And sometimes it's not their fault, but a lot of times it is. Because look at Carmelo Anthony. He keeps getting all this money, right? They kept giving him all this money to what? Not lead him anywhere, to not even make the playoffs. A guy of that caliber, and he doesn't make the playoffs. The reason why I think it's ludicrous as to why organizations should remain loyal to certain players is because, like, players like Carmelo Anthony, they take all this money, but then they don't have enough money to give other players to build more depth, If you take all this money, how the heck are you going to build a team around that? It just makes no sense to me. But on the flip side, I can see why taking less money is not always a good thing. The only person that really kind of worked for that I can recall is Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan kept taking less money because he wanted to remain competitive. Because, again, it wasn't about him, it was about the team. But another person who did it was Dirk. Dirk, a lot of times, kept taking less money so they could draw in free agents. But nobody wanted to play for the Mavs. So Dirk could have been getting way more money, but he was trying to be selfless. But the organization didn't do enough to draw in these free agents. They screwed up with DeAndre Jordan. They didn't get Darren Williams the first time. They didn't get Dwight Howard. Like, so many things so many pieces they could have gotten, and they didn't. And, the sacrifice Dirk had made was for naught. And it kind of saddens me that Dirk stayed loyal to the Mavericks. I'm a Mavericks fan, and I always will be, but I feel the Mavericks could have done way more to honor Dirk than this. It could have been more than one championship. And, again, Dirk he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer, but he could have been even more. He could have been even on a higher level if the organization had done a little bit more. And people are going to probably say I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. That's how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. Every year, we could have been more. Hopefully this Kristaps Porzingis trade points us in the right direction and gets us some free agents this summer. Hopefully. But on the flip side of loyalty, so I said how, organizations, why should they remain loyal to players? I'm kind of do both ends of this for one player. LeBron James. Everyone talks about LeBron, the greatest player of this generation, right? His first, years were in Cleveland. He got drafted by pretty much his hometown in a sense. He's from Akron, but Cleveland is pretty much not too far. So, he was loyal to his city. 7 years, he toiled away. He led them to an NBA Finals in 2007, but they got swept. And, he kept plugging away. He even was, first in the East for a couple years. And even in his final year with Cleveland, the first go-around. And then he decides to walk away and go to Miami. Because he thought, you know what? you all want me to win a championship. You all say I'm nothing if I don't win a championship, so I have to go win one. So he goes to Miami and he forms a big three. And then a few years there, he wins a couple championships and he comes back. So not only did he leave, yeah, he betrayed us. Why should we remain loyal to him? But then you welcomed him back with open arms, didn't you, when he came back to Cleveland? And guess what? He won Cleveland a championship. So you know what? He settled his debt. His debt is repaid. Should he have probably stayed in Cleveland? My opinion, yeah. I think he should have. It would have shown that, you know, he's loyal to his city still. He wants to remain with his city. But at this point, he's still trying to chase Michael Jordan. And you know what? If he does, and he wins a couple more championships, power to him. You know, sometimes you got to do what's best for you. He already was loyal enough to the Cavaliers, but then they screwed him up because they let Kyrie walk. You know, they couldn't really put anything good enough to beat the Warriors. It was an organizational problem. You know, Dan Gilbert is an idiot. There are many, like, owners in the NBA that are stupid like that, like Dolan from the freaking Knicks. He's an idiot. You know, I mean, Phil Jackson was pretty stupid too as their GM. You know, they could have done way more to help the Knicks get back into, you know, contention. But they didn't. But on the flip side of this specific instance for LeBron, the second time around, why the heck would the organization commit to a player that was never going to give him a straight answer as to whether he would stay or not? Like, you could already tell he was wanting to leave. So why should they commit to that? Why should they remain loyal to a player who's not going to give his commitment to that organization? They let Kyrie walk because Kyrie didn't want to be there anymore. And whether it was because of LeBron or because of himself, it's up for you all to decide. But, you know, why would you remain loyal to a player who's not going to give their 100% commitment to you? So, at that point, it was smart to let LeBron walk. In that instance, the first time around, it was the organization. The second time around, it was a little bit of both. But see, loyalty goes a long way. If you were truly loyal to your organization, you don't care the conditions. You don't care what conditions are. But as long as you gave it your effort, as long as you put 100% into building a franchise around that player, and the player works hard and keeps playing at a high level every year, trying to compete for that championship, then you both are on the same page, and that is a healthy organization. But players nowadays want shit for themselves, and organizations, you know, again, they want shit for themselves. There's no communication, there's no loyalty. Everybody is out to get each other. You know? Like the Mavericks. I'm pissed off that they got rid of Dennis Smith Jr. But you know what? Sometimes things have to be done for the sake of getting something better. But you know what? Dennis Smith Jr. played hard. He was improving. And you know what? He was willing to commit to this organization. But the Mavericks weren't loyal enough to him to really see them in their future. So it is what it is. So overall, there is no loyalty on either side. And that lack of loyalty is what's going to mess up a team, whether it be the Celtics or the Lakers. I feel if Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers, they lose a huge amount of that core. They should at least try to keep Kuzma, in my opinion. I mean, you have people like Legend of Winning who disagree with all of that. And it's like, no, I'd trade all of them for Anthony Davis. But then you lose so much depth. Yeah, you could probably pull some people off on the waiver wire in free agency and shit. But who's to say that's going to be the same thing? Who's to say that's going to be, successful? I mean, yeah, you can make other trades, but that's all speculation at that point. I would like to keep... If I was an owner, I would like to at least keep one of those players that's proven, so at least have some extra help, have some extra depth, so you don't have players like LeBron complaining that we're too top heavy. Because that was the huge issue when he was with Cleveland. Oh, we're too top heavy, we don't have enough depth. So they would trade away assets to try to get more depth. That's why, in my opinion, these players should not be taking such heavy contracts, because it kills the amount of depth you can have. But at the same time, as I stated with Dirk, he took a pay cut a lot of the time and it did nothing for him. So at this point, it's like you're damned if you do as a player and you're damned if you don't as a player. And same with an organization. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. This league, professional sports leagues in general, have just become so ridiculous that no players are willing to commit to their team, and no team is willing to truly commit to their players. It's chaos at this point. And that's just the sad reality. But that's just my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll stop rambling, but that's my opinion. You could take it as you will, and I'm willing to learn from you all again, as I stated in previous videos. I'm willing to learn what you all have to offer. Because I do want to learn more from the community and, become more educated. But from what I've seen as a basketball fan for these many years that I've watched the sport, that's just what it has amounted to. Everybody, the media is always talking about LeBron's legacy. So it seems like everybody seems to know everything about LeBron at this point. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments. Y hasta la próxima, mi gente. Adiós.